Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and today's very special guest is a fellow FAMU Rattler, Dr. Adrienne. She is a psychotherapist, an author, a podcaster, and also the founder of the new True Black Essentials. Welcome, Dr. Adrienne.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing excellent. So wonderful to see you.
So wonderful to be here. So thank you for allowing me to share the air with you this morning.
Absolutely. So, for my folks out there who don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Dr. Adrienne. As you said, I am a psychotherapist in the Atlanta area. Been a psychotherapist for 27 years because I was doing it part-time even when I was in the school system full-time because I was in the school system 20 years. So I have clients that range in age from 6 to 89, and I treat all types of disabilities and mental health and mental wellness diagnosis, everything from anxiety to depression to grief and loss to couples who are my absolute favorite to work with, adolescents and everything in between.
Awesome.
You know, it's my ministry, Nicole. It's my ministry.
I believe that. So I'm going to pause and ask you, why are couples your favorite to deal with?
You know what? I am someone who just has always been in love with the idea of being in love. And so, actually my premarital couples are my favorite because I always say to them, if I get you to the altar, you stay married. And a lot of my premarital couples have not made it, and that's okay because I say, it's better to know on the front end than it is to have to then circle back around and come to the couch as a married couple that's having a lot of issues. So, and we all have issues, we all have differences, but when you have an opportunity to build a solid foundation, which is what I get to do with my premarital couples, it's just the easier work to do.
Well, I bet you save them a lot of time and money.
You know what, Nicole? On the very first session with my premarital couples, when they come in, I ask them, if you go through this journey with me and you figure out that through the homework assignments that you will get, that this is not the person that you are to spend the rest of your life with, are you ready to abandon every save the date and deposit that you have sent out? Are you ready to lose money? And are you ready to walk away to ensure that you don't find yourself in a situation just because you've spent and invested money, or just because you're concerned about what other people will say, that you would go forward and enter into an unhealthy allegiance? And when I tell you, when I ask that question first, they go, because they think that they're coming there to hear all this great and wonderful stuff about love. And what I tell people is that relationships are not hard. People make relationships hard, but there are people that being in a relationship with will be more work just because of compatibility issues. So,
Wow, this sounds like a couples boot camp, but
that's what it is.
But again, I think you probably are saving them a lot of time and aggravation in the future. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So from Tuskegee, Alabama.
From Tuskegee, Alabama. Actually born in Birmingham, which is where my mother was from. And my father is from Tuskegee. So I can't say born and raised, but I can say raised in Tuskegee. So yeah, proud of the swift growing South. I am a very proud native of Tuskegee. You know, it's a little place with a lot of history. So I often tell people, you know, if they say, I think I know you, you know, first place I start with is Tuskegee. Are you from Tuskegee? You know, just in trying to make a connection, because sometimes when you're from a small town, you know, and you're living in a larger city like Atlanta, you know, you think you're supposed to be from a big city, but no, that's where my roots are from. And, you know, very loving community, nurturing community. And that is where I developed my sense of helping other people. Grandmama was the Girl Scout leader for 54 years in Tuskegee.
Wow.
You know, so if you were a Girl Scout in Tuskegee, 9 times out of 10, she was your Girl Scout leader.
Okay.
So, you know, just a lot of community and sense of family. So yeah, proudly from Tuskegee.
Nice. So how did you, with Tuskegee University being in Tuskegee, how did you wind up at FAMU?
Nicole, do you know that I had never been to FAMU?
Huh.
Honestly, had never heard of FAMU. And when I tell people that, they're like, what? So I was an only child growing up. And quite frankly, you know, my parents were ready for me to fly the nest. They were really pushing me out, and I was ready to fly. And as an only child, grew up in a very structured household. My father was very strict. I could not date until I was 17 years old, going into my senior year in high school. And so I wanted to be away. I did not want to be anywhere in Alabama. Had actually gotten a scholarship to Wilberforce in Ohio. And so my father said to me, you know, you can go if you want to, but you can't come home but once a year. And I was like, what? He said, yep, you can come home at Christmas time. And I was like, oh, Christmas time. And then he said, no, you can come home twice. I'll let you come home for Mother's Day. So I was like, I never been this far away from home. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of my childhood friends who became my first roommate was going to FAMU. And so she said, girl, you should come to FAMU with me. And I said, okay. And I applied, had never been on the campus, had never even been to Tallahassee.
Wow.
And the absolute best decision of my life. And so that's how I ended up there. I just knew that going to Tuskegee was not an option for me. Although I always wanted to be a Piperette, going to Tuskegee just was not an option. I needed to go away from home. And
okay. And so what did little Adrian want to be when she grew up?
Well, you know, like most children, it sounds really good to say you want to be a doctor, but I don't like blood. I don't like loose teeth. I don't like needles. I don't like any of that. So, so I quickly kind of shifted from that. But at the age of 8 years old, my father said to me, you like to argue so much. You need to be an attorney. You just need to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And it stuck. You know, I'm a daddy's girl. And so I said, okay. And so I literally, from the time I was 8 years old, spent my life on this trajectory to become a lawyer. And so got to FAMU, had a double major in criminal justice and political science, worked at the district attorney's office, was president of the Hatchet Pre-Law Club, all of this. Went to Mercer University in Macon, Georgia. Was gonna go to LSU, and I probably certainly would not have finished because I would have been having too much fun in New Orleans. Right. But went to Mercer in Macon, Georgia. First day, first class, I came out of there and said, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so my then husband, you know, said, you know, what do you mean? We've been to one class. What do you mean is in where you're supposed to be? How do you know? And I said, I just know this is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And so he got on the phone with my father and called, you know, we've been to one class and she's talking about she not supposed to be in law school. And so for my father, who had heard me saying since I was 8 years old, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. It was, you know, what are you talking about? You just nervous. You're just this, you're just that. But in my gut, Nicole, I knew that that wasn't it. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of was going through the motions, going to classes and doing this sort of thing. But I just knew every single day, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
And so I ended up pregnant with the first grandchild on both sides. And I was having some complications. And so the doctor said, if she does not come home and sit down, she's going to lose this baby. So I finished out that first semester of law school, but then I got a chance to go home because I was pregnant.
Okay.
And so the entire time I was thinking about what my next move was going to be. And, you know, that was before we had Google and, you know, all that like we do now. So it was a little bit more of a challenge to figure out, well, what's my next move going to be? And because I didn't want someone talking me out of my next, I wasn't having conversations with anybody. Okay. And so I thought about what is it that I would do if nobody paid me to do it? And I knew it had something to do with people because I've always been a people person. I've always been somebody that volunteered, helped other people, been a nurturer. Like that's just who I am. And people that have known me my entire life, they're like, you've always been this person. And I have. Okay. And so I found a master's in mental health counseling at Fort Valley State because I knew that, you know, I was stuck in Macon at least until my then husband would complete law school. So I said, I got to find something that's nearby. And so they had this program. And so literally I had the baby July 18th of 1990, August 1990. One day the baby daddy walked in the house. I handed him the baby and a bottle and said, I'm headed to class. Okay. Like, you're headed to class where? You know, and I said, I'll see you later. And I left. And so very first day, first class, and it was a cultural diversity class. I'll never forget it. When I came out of that class, I knew I was in the right place. And so I said, you know, it really took a lot of courage to be 23 years old and to walk away from my father's dream, because that's what I did. You know, it was my dream because he gave it to me. Like a lot of us, we get in these situations where other people tell you what it is they think you're good at and what they think you should be doing. And depending on what that relationship between you and that person is, you kind of gravitate towards that. And that was what I did. And so, but I had the courage to walk away from my father's dream and to step into mine. And I have not looked back since.
What a great story. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know all of that, but that's amazing. And I think that you sharing that shows that, you know, you can make a shift and well, even though it's something that you've, you know, been groomed to do a small child. So
yeah. I mean, for most people, Nicole, they stay stuck in things because of other people. You know, and we've all been taught and told things from the time that we are small children, seeds get planted. And so based on the things that you are taught and told, you make decisions about who it is that you become. But a lot of times it's fear that keeps us from making a pivot to say, you know what? I thought this was where I wanted to go. I thought that this was something that would work for me. Now I see that it won't. I want to do something different. We spend a lot of time stuck in guilting ourselves into what we think should have been. And things can only be what they are supposed to be. So it's a mind shift change.
Absolutely. Speaking of mind shift change and pivoting, 2020. Oh, we've done a lot of pivoting. We've done a lot of mindset changing as it relates to it. Talk to me about what 2020 has been like for you.
You know, I came into 2020 with an ask of God. I said, anybody that's not supposed to be in my life, whoever that is, let it be known or let them be gone. If I call, don't let them pick up. If I text, don't let them respond. And literally about before we really got to the, you know, finishing up that first quarter of the year, that was really what was going on in my life. And so then here comes March 13th and the world is shutting down. And I think that a lot of people thought that it was going to be a 2-week kind of deal and we were going to be back, you know, back in the saddle, riding it out again. And so I can remember about a month in, I did a podcast and I said, if you come out of this the same way that you went into it, you have probably missed the point that God has this purpose in your life. And
Yes.
so for me, it's been a time of reflection.
Mhm.
It has been a time of sifting. And Andrew Gillum and I talked about sifting yesterday. And that, you know, the Latin derivation of sifting is about getting rid of some things that need to go
Yes.
and the things that need to staying in place. And so it has given me an opportunity to spend a lot of time with my parents. I told my parents this weekend, I said, you know, I've spent more time with you all in 2020 than I have since I left home at 18 years old. And so for me, that's been a blessing, you know. And so even though some of the things are so different, what I was able to do is to recognize how many things I was doing that I could do without.
Yes.
And so for 2020 for me has been like this full circle moment. And so my relationship with God is stronger. I hear from him on a whole nother level. And I'm in a very peaceful place, you know, very peaceful in terms of, I said to my father, when I'm home, we have coffee every morning. And I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 45. I'm like, who does that? But so now that's our thing. And so we'll be drinking coffee. And I said to him, I can't think of anything that I need because I have everything that I need. And he said, did you ever think you would hear yourself say that? And I said, no. I said, but let's not get it twisted. I didn't say I have everything I want. I said I have everything I need.
It was different.
There's a difference because I got some things I want now. But
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. So, two things before we talk about another big thing that happened for you in 2020.
Yeah.
You're an author, so just briefly tell folks about your book.
Well, currently, you know, I have the ABCs of Life, Daily Inspirations for Practical Living, which is just that. It's a book on some inspirational things. And I tell people, if you have the book, you know, don't try to read it from cover to cover. Just flip to something one day, and I guarantee you it will be the word that it is that you need for that day. That's just what I believe. I just think that's how God and the universe work. But the next book that I have been working on, When Life Happens, Trials, Tribulations, and Triumphs. It's a little bit more deep, and it kind of talks about some of the things that we encounter and how we make shifts and don't make shifts to move ourselves out of these places and spaces that will help us grow into our best self. So hopefully, you know, Nicole, by early 2021 at some point, I have relaxed on giving myself these hard deadlines. As an Aries, I want structure, I want control. I have released some of that. So, you know, the book is almost finished. The cover is done. It's beautiful, all of that. And so we're going to see what 2021 brings in terms of getting that out there. But I'm also co-authoring a book with Tisha Campbell about unhealthy relationships and some narcissism. So yeah,
well,
that'll be coming out too.
Yeah, look forward to both of those.
Yeah.
And then finally, you are a video podcaster.
Yeah.
Conversations, lounge conversations. So talk a little bit about that.
So Couch Conversations with Dr.Adrienne, you know, kind of started, I say as a fluke, because I am not tech savvy. And I actually started Couch Conversations because I'm a writer. And so I would post a lot of inspirational stuff. And so from there, somebody said, well, when are you gonna do a book? And I was like, what? Do a book? And so, you know, by the time that Facebook came up with the live concept, I was like, you know, I kind of started talking about some things, and then it kind of morphed from live at 5 to the fix at 6, and didn't even realize that people were watching and listening as they were watching and listening. So just always humble and thankful for the words that God gives to me to give to others. And so, I'm also on Wellness Wednesdays with Real Talk with Andrew Gillum.
Okay.
I do a few other people's different podcasts. So, I enjoy having a platform that empowers people to be their best self. Gonna do more with Lounge Versation in 2021. Lounge Versations is for adults only. It is a private group. And it's where it goes down after dark because, a lot of times, Nicole, we shy away from conversations that are necessary because we are embarrassed because of the way that we've been raised. And so we have to learn to have these healthy conversations about all aspects of romantic relationships if we want them to be healthy and productive. So inside of Lounge Versations, we're going to do more of that in 2021.
Absolutely. Well, that's exciting. So I want to maybe peek in on Lounge Versations and hear some of those conversations after dark.
Listen, look, you're going to have to put the big girl panties on and come on over there.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Well, listen, we're going to take a break right here. But when we come back, I want to hear all about the big thing that jumped off in 2020, True Black Essentials.
All right.
Y'all stay tuned for more conversation.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Welcome back, y'all, to the transformation place where you come to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This week, we are talking about coconut oil, or better yet, MCT oil. Now, MCT oil stands for medium chain triglycerides, and it is actually extracted from coconut oil or palm oil. Now, MCT oils are beneficial in many, many ways, but I'm going to tell you about 3 standard ways that they are beneficial. Number 1, MCT oil helps to aid in weight loss as well as improve the gut environment. Number 2, MCT oils help to manage autism, epilepsy, and Alzheimer's disease. And number 3, MCT oils are considered to be an antidepressant functional food. Now, how are we going to use this to be transformed? Well, we're actually going to assess to see if we can benefit from this information. We're going to go inside. Can I use this information, or can I use MCT oil to help me lose weight? If so, all you got to do is place 1 teaspoon of MCT oil or coconut oil into your favorite coffee, into your favorite tea. You can actually use it to saute your veggies in the morning or place it in your oatmeal. Or you can just eat it right off of the spoon. You're going to do this for 30 days. Y'all know, 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, you're actually going to see if it helped you. So just look back and see if you feel a difference, if you feel that this MCT oil has helped you to have a lighter mood or think about happier things. Have you been able to ward off the weight that you don't necessarily want or desire? Or has it actually helped your symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, autism, or epilepsy, or the person that you are helping with that? And if so, then just continue to use it. Thank you so much for joining me this week on the Transformation Place. Remember to press and fly, press through your obstacles so that you can fly right on towards your destiny. Y'all enjoy and see you next week. Peace and blessings, love and light.
Conversations with Nicole.
Welcome back to Conversations with Nicole. Thank you, Gian Jones, the #1 wellness expert, for that wellness tip. If you are just joining me, I am here with Dr. Adrienne. We about her life, her work, and before the break, I told her when we come back, I wanted to hear all about the 2020 jump off of True Black Essentials, which she is the founder of. This is her gifting. This is a hypermarket that features Black-owned, Black-grown, Black-produced products and goods. So tell us about it.
So, Nicole, about 5 years ago, God gave me this concept of Black on the block. And so literally, I was going to have a block party and just bring Black businesses together, because growing up in Tuskegee, Alabama, being raised by an entrepreneur, I am somebody who has always sought to support Black. No matter where I lived, my everything was Black, from doctors, lawyers, and then growing up in Tuskegee, I grew up around Black businesses. The grocery store was Black owned. I mean, just everything we did was, Black owned. And so I was going to do this Black on the block party, just, bring Black businesses together so that people would know where they were, but also to hold Black businesses accountable so that I could say to them, listen, as Black business owners, we have to provide quality services and products. People don't have to support you just because you are Black. You have to provide good customer service. Well, life got in the way. Things started to happen, and got ready to go through a divorce after 29.5 years. And so I did not do anything but trademark Black on the Block.
Okay.
Fast forward to 2020, the Corona shutdown. Everything is going virtual, and I'm doing workshops and trainings and doing all this stuff virtually. And so 3 weeks before Juneteenth, which is when I always wanted to start Black on the Block, I said, I'm going to have a virtual block party. Okay. And so I started the Facebook group Black on the Block, and within 24 hours, there were 2,500 people in the group. And so I said, if you got a business, you want a platform to showcase it, send me a message. And so people were flooding my inbox. And so I said, okay, I got to cut this thing off, because we're going to have an all-day block party. And so literally we had a block party on Juneteenth virtually through my platforms on Facebook with 40 vendors, and it lasted 4.5 hours. Wow. And so the vendors would come on, they would talk about their business, talk about their products, and it was an amazing event. And so the morning of the block party, I was sitting in my room, and you can see some of my signs behind me, but I have signs everywhere, Nicole. In every room in my house, in my car, I have signs that have uplifting, inspirational somethings on them. And so I was sitting in my room and I was thinking, I want to do signs, and I want to do a greeting card line and just all this stuff. And so when I was having a conversation with my friend that morning on his way home from work, I was talking about how I wanted to do all this stuff. And he said to me, you got to focus. He said, you all over the place. You got all these ideas. You got all this stuff you want to do. And he was just fussing. And I said to him very quietly, I know what I'm supposed to do. And he said, just like that. And I said, God just dropped it in my spirit. And he said, well, what is it? And I said, I'm going to open up a store where every product on every shelf in every aisle is Black owned, Black grown, and Black produced, like a Walmart or a Target. And he said, you mean like Black essential stuff we need? And I said, oh my God, I love that name. And I wrote it down. And he was still talking. He was talking about, the motherland and mothership and mother's finest and all this for names. And I said, no, I like the very first thing you said. I said, but Black essentials is something. I said, but I know how to trademark. All I got to do is put a word in front of it. And I said, what do you think about True Black Essentials? And he said, oh my God, that's it, True Black Essentials. And he kind of started chanting TBE, TBE, TBE. And from there, I was talking to him just like I'm talking to you. And I said, I want to work with people all over the world, Black people in Haiti and Jamaica, the Bahamas, the Caribbean islands, and Africa. And I said, and I want to take the 400 acres of land that my parents own in Tuskegee, and I want to build manufacturing plants and distribution centers, because the reason why Black people can't mass produce is because we don't have the infrastructure to do it. And so when I finished, he said, God just gave you that? And I said, literally, God just gave me that. And I said, he has a sense of humor. He is really trying to free the slaves to give me this assignment on Juneteenth. And so from there, Nicole, I went to my mentors, Judge Glenda Hatchett and Dr. Iris Cooper, the founder of Glory Foods, to tell them what God had dropped in my lap. And in 2 separate conversations, they both said to me, you cannot open up a brick and mortar store during a pandemic, because I had already said, I want to open up in Atlanta and New Orleans and Charlotte, Jacksonville, and Houston. And so they said, you got to go e-commerce first. And so I went back to my friend and I said, they said, I got to go e-commerce. And if I have to go e-commerce, I want to own the software. I said, I don't want to come off of anybody else's platform, because to me, that's just another form of slavery. If I am on an Amazon and Etsy or Shopify, then I've got to pay them. Vendors have to pay them. And the whole purpose of True Black Essentials is about creating generational wealth for Black people. And so I said, we have to learn what it is to invest in ourselves and to own things and not to lease things. And so I owned the software, and it was a huge investment. You know, and I said, but if I can get, so we launched November 1st and have about 95 vendors, because I handpicked the first 100 vendors, you know, and I did research. I looked at the products that they had, and I looked at where they were located geographically. I already have vendors out of Nairobi, Kenya, Nigeria, Canada, because once we open up brick and mortars, that is the hub. That's the home for all Black owned, Black produced, and Black grown products. I already have a partnership with the Black Farmers Association. So all of the foods carried inside of True Black Essentials will be grown by Black farmers. And so this is our opportunity to understand, truly understand the power of Black economics. And I know there are other platforms out here that are selling all Black products. This is not a competition. This is my assignment from God, because I've had people to ask me, well, what about these people? And what about these people? That has nothing to do with what God has told me to do. And so I know that the relationships that I have that span my entire life are a part of what God was already planning to do in my life. And so, you know, I've already partnered with Tuskegee University. So thankful and grateful to them. Their departments of business, architecture, agricultural, and engineering. And just excited about all of this. It is a lot of work, of course. And I said during 2020, I said, I understand what the 10,000 hour rule now means, because I've never worked so hard on anything in my life. And I just truly believe that this is our opportunity as Black people to come together and to really support us, because they do that in other cultures. But we are a group of people that has been raised to be separated back from slavery. That is how our families have been foundationally structured. And so because of that, it is easy for us to separate ourselves and go somewhere else. We do it in terms of picking schools in our communities. We do it in terms of our neighborhoods that we live in. You know, we are the ones that will go other quicker than anybody else. And so I am just believing that True Black Essentials is going to be an opportunity for us to say, you know what? We have a home. We don't have to go to the other big box stores, because True Black Essentials will be the Black big box store where you can get everything from. We got toilet paper companies, we got artesian water companies, and then jewelry, makeup, clothes, everything that you can think of. Black people have always been artisans. We've always been people who were inventors. You know, we may not have gotten the patents, we may not have gotten the credit, but we've always been those people. And so now this is the opportunity for you to have a home. If you have a product, I want you in True Black Essentials. You know, a lot of times Black people will create things. We think that we have arrived when those big box stores that are not looking for you allow you to come into them. But I'm here to tell you, I'm looking for you. You know, there are so many vendors that I have reached out to, and if they understand the concept that to be able to, I'm becoming the Black Amazon. That's my goal. I want you to be able to have a place that distributes your goods, but you gonna have ownership in True Black Essentials. because this is a family company. This is not something that is going to be publicly traded, just like Publix is not a publicly traded company, and it's $1 billion brand. True Black Essentials will be the same thing. So people who are involved in this will have ownership in this, will have a say-so in how do we do this? Because I'm not somebody that thinks that I have all the answers. What I have is an open ear and an open heart to hear what God is telling me to do. And when I say to you, Nicole, my advisory board looks like a who's who of Black executives. And these are literally people I've known 35, 40 years and longer. Nice. And so I know that this has all been designed by God. And so I am just humbled every single day to say, really, God, a little girl from Tuskegee, Alabama, you're using me to do this. So just very grateful.
Absolutely. That's outstanding, Dr. Adrienne. So one question, in terms of selecting the artisans or selecting the vendors, what's your process?
So now they can go on to True Black Essentials and they can just sign up to become vendors. Okay. And so I like to reach out and have conversations with people, because a part of what True Black Essentials is doing is that we are helping to develop entrepreneurs. So I have a partnership with a career tech high school, so that, you know, we're going to work with those individuals so that those young people will have internships, they're going to have mentors. So by the time they go to college and they're talking about these businesses that they're starting, they will already know how to start businesses, run businesses, and finance businesses. So that's one component of it. The other component of True Black Essentials is that there are people out here who have awesome products, but they need support in order to learn what it is to run a business. So everybody can have a space in True Black Essentials, but some people need additional support and work. So one of the things that I do is, you know, we're going to have a True Black Essentials University for our vendors. And so I bring in people to talk to them about marketing, packaging, pricing, all these different things, because again, a lot of times, and I gave birth to 4 creatives. So I know what it is to live with a creative who only wants to create. Yeah. I am an entrepreneur that was raised by an entrepreneur. So we want you to be able to create, but we want you to be able to feed yourself too. Right. So a part of that, right. So a part of that is, how do I learn how to have an income to come from what it is I am creating? And then how do I then turn that into multiple streams of income? So, you know, as a part of True Black Essentials, the first thing that I launched, Nicole, was an online beauty supply store. So trueblackessence.com is out there. You can order any of your hair supply needs and have them drop shipped directly to your home. We just have to get in the habit of going outside of our normal routine and comfort zone, because Black people's spending power is $1.3 trillion. And so there's a statistic out there that says if we spend all Black for 2 years, there's enough money for every Black person to be a millionaire. That is a huge statistic. But if you think about the Jewish community, that is exactly what they do. They spend within their community, and they have a lot of wealthy people inside their community. We have to move away from this mindset of there not being enough. There is plenty to go around. And if we come together and understand that what we consume, we should control, we should make, it's going to bring other people to the table who are going to have to say, you know what? Let me try to help support this venture so that I don't completely lose out. Because what I understand is that we can't do this without the support of other people, because we don't have that many millionaires and billionaires that look like us yet. Right. But it is very, very possible. And so this is my assignment, to make sure that I leave the world in a better state that it was in before I got here in 1967. And so for me, that's all it is.
All right. So trueBlackEssentials.com is that
trueBlackEssentials.com. And so if you are interested in becoming a vendor, you can go on, you sign up, and then from there, have a conversation with me, and we get you on board. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That's very exciting, and I definitely will be checking it out and
Yeah.
encouraging others to do the same.
Well, I appreciate that, Nicole, and when people say congratulations, I always say to them, y'all, this is not a congratulations for Adrian, because this is not an Adrian thing. This is God's opportunity for us to create generational wealth and to make sure that the generations that are coming behind us never, ever again have to be in a situation where they are not self-sustaining, because we can be. We're already out here doing it. I found a black shrimp farmer in Haynesville, Alabama. Amazing shrimp. But as a part of what he was doing, he didn't have a business model in place. And as a result of that, he had to give his shrimp to some other people to process it, and he ran out of money. And so True Black Essentials wants to find people like that, but we want to also find the resources to help support them so that they don't find themselves selling off their family's land, giving up on their business dreams, and handing it over to other people, because traditionally that's exactly what we have done.
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah. So in closing, my final question as we wrap it on up is, what do you believe is Dr. Adrienne's greater work?
Oh, wow. People are definitely my greater work, Nicole. I am somebody that always looks for the good in everything. And so I have been accused of being a Pollyanna, a positive Patty, this, that, and the other. But what I believe is that I have been placed on this earth to empower other people to see the glass as half full. And so we all have an opportunity to make a difference. Every one person has a responsibility to make a difference. And so until we've all arrived, none of us have arrived. And so as long as there are homeless people, there are people who can't get educated, there are people who are living on the streets, we still have work to do. And so I just believe that my greater work is to continue to help, to love, to nurture, and to bring peace into this world, but also to create generational wealth for Black people all over the world.
Great. Well, that is some labor of love. I wish you all the best. Once again, thank you for joining me today. And I want you to come back when you get that book written, and also to find out what's going on with True Black Essentials. I know it's going to be great and wonderful things, but you have to come back and tell us about it.
Yeah, and so I am still believing God that we will open up a brick and mortar store June 19th, 2021. My board members are cringe, and they're like, you do realize we still have a pandemic going on? And I said, I understand, but I also know that God has a plan that's bigger than ours.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, Dr. Adrienne.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
All right. So today's Indie Spotlight is saxophonist Aaron Hayden with his original song, Soft Pause. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Nicole, and we will see you next time. Mm-hmm.